Konnichiwa everybody, and welcome back to another pickups episode. So, things are quietening off a bit, but that said, I've still managed to find a few items. Though, I must admit, it's getting a bit too hot to be in this room, to be honest, at the moment, with the, the summer. It gets quite hot in here, so I have to limit myself to early mornings. Anyway, what have I been picking up? We've got, well, a bit of all sorts really. We've got Switch, we've got 3DO, we've got PS1, an Evercade, and yes, you've guessed it, some more Saturn. So without further ado, I think we'll start with the Switch. We'll start with this. Yeah, we'll start with this one first. This sort of came about after I'd bought the two waifu games recently. Obviously, there's more in that sort of vein, made by the same Funbox Media. And I thought, well, I'll try another one. Because waifu is a bit of fun, with obvious plus points, obviously. So I thought I'd try Block Knockers. Now this is a puzzle style game. I don't know if you can see on the box there. You start off with kind of a blank screen, and by your actions sort of reveals the ladies. Thanks to your actions. But I don't know. To be honest, I've been disappointed by this. I don't know. It just seems really awkward how you have to play it. I don't know. It just felt unnecessarily awkward. I'll put some footage up so you can see it. But I don't know. It wasn't as good as the kick style game. I thought that was a lot better. I mean, it's alright, I suppose, but I wouldn't rush out to buy it if I'm honest with you. It does come in a nice box set, which is probably the best part about it. It's quite a bit bigger than the standard Switch box. But you also get the soundtrack CD, which I've not actually tried. But it's a nice little set. But I don't know, I'm not crazy about the game if I'm honest. I mean, it is cheap, so for the nice box set, I suppose it's not bad really. And certainly one to maybe look at if you're on that pervy kick, shall we say. And I'm guessing there are plenty of us who are. So, also for the Switch, this has just arrived this morning, and I think a lot of you might know or already have one of these. It's not something I ever needed, but since I've been on this shooter sort of kick, I've invested in this, and I definitely know there's at least one of you got one, and it's a FlipGrip. This is the packaging. It's not like the cardboard box it come in. This is the actual box for the item, and it looks like that. What is it if you don't know? Well, it's a device that allows you to play your Switch. Help if I held it the right way. In Tate mode. So, very simply, you just take off your controllers, slide your Switch into the grip, put your controllers back on the grip, and hey presto, you've got your Switch in Tate mode for playing shooters. Genius little device, I've got to say. And I've got to thank Dylan for this, because he was the first one I heard mention it. So, cheers mate. But I've got to say, this company, FlipGrip. I'm mega impressed with their service. I ordered it like a few days ago, and it's like from the Netherlands, and I had confirmation saying it had been shipped within minutes of me buying it. I'm not joking. And I've had quite a few emails ever since, updating me on the process, when it's coming, when it's in my country, it's due for delivery today. And it came in like, I don't know, 3 days maybe from the Netherlands. Phenomenal service. So if you're into your switch shooters and you've not got a FlipGrip, I think definitely worth investing in. I've bought that for reasons that shall be revealed in the future. I have entered the world of Amazon Japan, and I'm awaiting a few items, shall we say, to use with the FlipGrip. But that will be for a future episode, like I say. So, that's all the Switch. I think we'll do the Evercade next. I don't tend to pick up Evercade that often. I tend to keep these for Christmas because it's easy to tell people, oh yeah, I need these Evercade games, and that, and go and get them, and it's easy. It's not like buying second-hand stuff. So I tend to keep that for like when people ask me what I want for Christmas. That said, this is one I've wanted right from when it came out, and it's on everything. It's been converted to everything you can think of. It's even on the Neo Geo, But I finally picked up Xeno Crisis anyway, and it's obviously a double pack with Tanglewood. But it was Xeno Crisis I bought it for, and this is obviously the cheapest, probably, unless you're emulating it in some way. This is the cheapest physical way to buy Xeno Crisis. And it's a cracking game. It's bloody difficult, but it's a cracking game. I mean, just if you like Smash TV, you're gonna like Xeno Crisis, because it's exactly the same basically. But it looks fantastic, plays great. It is hard, but that's part of the fun in it, really. I don't mind. Smash TV I didn't find easy, and that's a great game. Tanglewood I'm not bothered about, to be honest. I've had a go of it. It's a basic kind of puzzle platformer, Metroidvania type thing. It's not my cup of tea, really. I found it a bit boring, but I'll put some footage up so you can see what it's like. But Xeno Crisis is the one for me. What a great game, and if you got it on the Mega Drive or Neo Geo, whatever, I'm sure it's equally fantastic. I just bought this because it was the cheapest option for me, and it hasn't disappointed. What a great game. Right, I think we'll do PS1 next. This is one I've been thinking of for a long time, to be honest. I started off looking for the Saturn version, and it's not a cheap game on the Saturn. If memory serves me right, it's around the 50 quid mark. And I was a little unsure on the game, so I thought, I don't want to pay that kind of money. And I was going to get a repro. And then I just happened to chance upon this PS1 version. And I had a look on YouTube at some videos, and the PS1 version does actually look a bit better from what I can remember. And then I came across this PS1 version, like I say, and it was reasonably priced. It was actually, a lot cheaper than the Saturn one. I think it was around a tenner from memory. Anyway, Initial D. Now this is kind of Japanese street racing, if you like. Kind of like, I suppose, like Tokyo Highway Challenge, that kind of game. But it's a lot more sort of story based, which is the reason that kind of put me off buying it in the first place. It plays very well, I've got to say. It's a good playing game, and it don't look too bad either. But there is a heavy story element, and obviously it's Japanese only, and there's a lot of Japanese text, which I don't mind. I'm cope with that. It's not a problem for a racing type game. My big bugbear with this is you've got to sit through the text conversation between the characters before each race, and I'm not kidding. it must go on for 10 minutes before the race comes on, and you can't skip it. It's so annoying. Even when, you know, because it's like a one-on-one battle, and if you've got to get from point A to point B, it's not laps, it's like a road course. And if you don't win, you've then got to continue and do it again. But you've got to sit through the same bloody story all over again for another 10 minutes before you can have another go at the game. Mind-numbingly annoying. It's kind of a deal breaker, really, in some ways. I think you can play it in a free running mode, which allows you to, you know, select your car and your tracks and just race the course on your own. The problem with that is a lot of stuff's locked, and you've got to unlock it by playing the story mode, so it's kind of a catch-22 situation. So overall, I'm pleased to actually be able to play it, but it is disappointing, but not for the reasons I was thinking. I was thinking it might be unplayable being a story-driven arcade racer, but it makes you not want to play it simply because you can't skip the story sequences. But it is what it is, I suppose, you know. There are other versions of this, but I think it's on the PS2 as well, no doubt. I think they're all Japanese exclusive. I'm not sure about that. There may be the odd one that's come outside of Japan. I'm not sure. But anyway, that was Initial D. Now this next one, I've wanted this for years. Ever since it first came out, really. I remember playing it back, you know, what, 20 odd years ago when it came out. It was very close to launch PS1 game in Japan. I think it was out within a couple of weeks of the console coming out, if memory serves me right. And I remember seeing it, and at the time, you know, it was nice, but it was kind of, it was a 2D game, and, you know, we all wanted 3D games at the time, and now nobody was interested in the 2D games, really. They were kind of seen as old-fashioned. But obviously, with hindsight, they're the games everybody wants from that era, because they've aged really well and look amazing, where the early 3D stuff looks a bit shit. So consequently, these games now, because they weren't that popular back in the day, and they look so awesome, and they've aged so well, now they're mega pricey. So it's always been one I've tried to get, but never got round to it for price reasons more than anything else. And then I've got to thank Eddie for this one, because he sent me the link to this, and it was an auction, and it had got days to run, you know, but the price eventually ended up being quite reasonable for what it normally goes for. So I've picked up Gunner's Heaven. Now obviously, if you're into your PS1, you might well know this. The PAL version's Rapid Reload, and basically it's Gunstar Heroes on the PS1. It's an amazing run and gun game, absolutely fantastic. Like I say, it is unfortunately rather expensive these days. I'm not sure about the PAL version, that's probably even more, but it's only the Japanese one I've ever looked for. But you know, it's usually £100 game on Japanese, so I'm guessing it's probably more PAL. Luckily, I managed to get this for a lot less than that. It's nice and complete, in nice condition. But as you'll see from the footage, it's a phenomenal game. I'm sorry about the state of the footage, by the way, because I've tried to record it off the CRT, because I couldn't. It wouldn't work on my PS2 that's linked up to the LCD screen, unfortunately. So it was just captured off the CRT TV, so it won't look as good, unfortunately. But at least it'll give you a sense of what the game's like. It's phenomenal. If there's any way you can play this, I strongly recommend it. And again, cheers Eddie. I'm so chuffed to have that back. What an amazing game. Goodness heaven. Right, 3DO. Now I don't pick up 3DO very often. In fact, I can't remember the last time I bought a 3DO game, to be honest. And I can't really remember how I got onto looking for. I think I was just randomly searching. I don't know. Must have been bored or something. I was randomly searching 3DO, because I've got all the ones I want really for the 3DO. I'm at some point in the future I'm going to do a 3DO specific video because it's such a great system. You know, it was a groundbreaking system at the time. You know, for a very brief period, it was like the cutting edge, like must-have console. But unfortunately, it was so expensive. A lot of people couldn't afford it. But for that short period of time between the Mega Drive, SNES, and Saturn PlayStation, it was like the best console money could buy. And there are still some great games on it today. I've probably got, I don't know, 20 or 30. There's a lot of shit, don't get me wrong, but there are some great games on the 3DO, and it is a much underestimated and underappreciated system in my opinion. Anyway, I'm waffling on. I've picked up Burning Soldier. This is the Japanese version, but it doesn't matter, the 3DO's universal. With the exception of a handful of games, they all work on any region console. There are a few American games that won't play on a PAL or Jap machine, and vice versa, but they're very few and far between. But even better with this one, even though it's Japanese, it plays in full English. So it's as good as the English version, to be honest. But the US version is a long box game, where this wouldn't have been. You know, it was only the US ones that came in long boxes. But anyway, this is like an on-rail shooter, much in the vein of Starblade. And I remember liking this quite a lot back in the day. And I've not played this for 20, I don't know, could be 25 years, I'm not sure. And I just happened to see this cheap and I thought, oh, I remember Burning Soldier, it used to be good that day. I'm going to give that a bash and take a chance. And still really good. Again, I'll put some footage up. I mean, obviously it's basic by today's standards, but you've got to think back. This was at the time when the Mega Drive and the Super Nintendo were out. This was before PlayStation and Saturn. And it's still a cracking game to play. I really, really like it. They're quite short levels, but as you'll see in the footage, it looks nice. It's a bit reminiscent of Star Wars Arcade as well in a way. But honestly, I'm really chuffed to have that back, Burning Soldier. Really, really good game. And if you've got a 3DO, I'd definitely pick that up. It's not a particularly dear game either. Right, Saturn. I'm waffling on too much here, it's already dragging on. We've got two repros to start with. And this first one's a shooter. And, well, I won't beat about the bush. It's Image Fight and X Multiply. Now this is a fortune if you want to buy a genuine one. It's probably approaching 300 quid. So obviously repro was the only way to go here. And there are two, it's like a twin pack, a double pack, and it's obviously Image Fight and X Multiply. Now I bought this so predominantly because I thought I fancied Image Fight. Because it visually reminded me of Tatsujin, which is my favourite shooter. And the X Multiply was kind of a bonus. However, upon playing it, I mean they're both good, don't get me wrong. I don't think you can justify 300 quid. However, I do like Image Fight, but it's difficult. It's in that draw which is kind of beyond my talent difficulty. It's still good, but it's chuffing hard. You know, even early on you get ships that will fire missiles. You'll kill the ship, the missiles will go off screen, but then they suddenly reappear and kill you. Quite annoying, but you can shoot the missiles down if you can move out the way in time, but it's difficult. However, again, I'll put some footage up. X Multiply, what a cracking game that is. Image Fight's vertical, which is what I much prefer. X Multiply is horizontal like R-Type. So I wasn't too optimistic I'd like that one, but it's really, really good. I'm not that much of a fan of the horizontal, I must be honest, but if you can play X Multiply, I'd strongly recommend it. It's really good. As you'll see in the footage, you kind of, your ship's got these sort of long arms which sort of act as a, I suppose, as a barrier and a, you know, firing your weapons in different directions. Really, really good. Strongly recommend that. I've got a feeling Nick at Red 7 recommended this as well. I think that might have put the seed in my mind. So if I think it was him. So cheers, mate. Really good. Not in the way I was expecting, but chuffed to have it. Then this next one is another Capcom fighter. And again, this one's quite pricey if you want to buy the original, hence why I've gone repro. I can't remember off the top of my head now. It's over 100, I think. Might be just 100 to 150, I think, without checking. I forgot. But anyway, I've picked up the Dungeons and Dragons collection. Now, again, this is really good, as you'd expect from a Capcom fighter. This is a 2D scrolling fighter, if you weren't aware, as opposed to a one-on-one. You know, it's kind of a Final Fight style fighter, but very reminiscent of Golden Axe. However, obviously it's Dungeons and Dragons, so there are kind of adventure elements, which is, I get the impression it's hampered by that because it's obviously Japanese and it's all Japanese text. There probably might be English patches if you're playing this on, you know, other sort of more modern devices. However, it plays great and looks great, as you'll see in the footage, but the levels are interspersed with a lot of text, obviously explaining the story and the adventure element of the game. And while it doesn't detract you from playing the game, you're obviously missing out on what's actually going on. And as I say, it's a collection. There are 2 games in this set, and they're both obviously fairly similar, but I'll put both up so you can see. But they look great, and they do play nicely. The story element does hold me back from saying it's brilliant, really. But for the price on the repro, I'm chuffed to have it. You know, I don't think I'd want to pay for the original on this because of the text, to be honest. But it's great to have it. I'm not sure if this is on one of the Capcom Fighter collection things that are coming out imminently, or they've come out on what that previous one's called. I can't think now, but it might be on one of them compilations. I can't remember. However, I am chuffed to get that one anyway. Right, they're the only 2 repros this time. Next up, we've got a platform game, and I remember seeing this when it came out PAL. I never owned it. Again, it was one of these 2D platform games that looked kind of old hat at the time, so a lot of people perhaps didn't bother with them, and myself included with this one in particular. And I've never actually seen the Japanese version before, but I've picked up Johnny Bazooka Town. Like I say, I've never seen it Japanese. It's a US Gold game, so I've got a feeling this might have come out PAL first, and that's why I've not seen it Japanese before. Just called Johnny Bazooka, Japanese, without the town. I didn't know what to expect from this, really, because I hadn't really got any memories of it other than it was a platformer. But as you'll see in the footage, it's not a bad looking game at all, to be honest, and he's a real funky main character, and I like how the fact he uses his guitar as his weapon, and you know, he uses guitar to fire. It's really quite, I don't know, it's got kind of a rock and roll type soundtrack, hence this sort of rock and roll Johnny Bazooka dude. but I was really quite pleased with this one. It turns out it's not a bad game at all, and I would assume it's quite cheap on PAL. I don't know if it's something that interests you. I can't imagine it's a deer game, but I could be wrong. I've not checked. But maybe one to check out if you like a platformer. Johnny Bazooka Tone, or Bazooka on Japanese, whichever you prefer. Right, this next one is one I don't ever remember seeing back in the day, and I just bought this predominantly because it was quite cheap, to be honest, and it was sealed when I bought it as well, and I think it was only around a tenner. And I've picked up K1 King of Kings. What's it? Oh, K1 Fighting Illusion Game Show. No, show. K1 Fighting Illusion Show. It's also got K1 Grand Prix on the front and the King of Kings. So it's got a multitude of names. But obviously it was sealed, like I say, so I've still got the spine card. And it's kind of a kickboxing game. You've got all these characters. I mean, I know nothing about this kind of scene, so I think there are some famous ones. I did watch a quick video on this before I bought it, and there's one of these guys that was famous back in the day, I believe, outside of Japan, but it means nothing to me. However, it plays quite well, this one. I suppose it's a bit of a mixture of a traditional boxing game with kind of Virtua Fighter, maybe. Obviously it looks a bit clunky now compared, you know, how things have moved on. But back in the day, I bet this was bloody good. It's still not bad today, to be honest. And I think the graphics are quite nice for the price it goes for. I mean, it's a bit of a no-brainer, this one. It's got to be worth a tenner. So it was a bit of a surprise, that one. K1 Fighting Illusion Show. Not a bad kickboxing game. 2 to go, we're nearly there. And this is another one I've wanted for some time. I stupidly have got rid of this in the past and shouldn't have done. And it's a Sega Ages title, and I've picked up Afterburner II. I'm chuffed to have this one back. There's only one Sega Ages title I want now back in the collection. I'll say back in the collection, I've never had it actually. But yeah, I need Fantasy Zone. That's the one I'm looking for now. But this tends to go for around the £50 mark usually, and I just happened to drop on this one at quite a fair bit cheaper, about half price I think it was. And Afterburner needs no explanation, obviously, you'll see in the footage, it's just like the arcade. Fantastic. Chuffed to have it back. Not much more to be said about that, really. There are a few Sega Ages titles on the Saturn, but like I say, I've got the ones I want except Fantasy Zone. I've not got columns, but I'm not particularly bothered about that. I'd maybe consider the older style Sega Ages packs. Each got 5 games on, I think. If I ever see those at a fair price, I might pick those up. You know, they're really early arcade Sega titles on those. I'm not going in any desperation to get them really. Right, I've left the best one till last, or at least the one my favourite of the bunch anyway. Again, this is another shooter, and again this can get pricey. It's not the priciest of titles, but it's not a cheap title. Tends to be around the £50–60 mark usually. Again, I chanced upon this one a fair bit cheaper. I'd recently, or a few months ago, picked up the PS2 version on PAL, and I really liked it. So from that moment I thought, well, I've got to try and get the Saturn one. So I've picked up Strikers 1945, Atlas Psycho game, obviously. But it's got the Tarte mode, so I can play it on the Tarte screen down there. Oh, this is an amazing game. Just like that PS2 compilation pack, which is dirt cheap. You know, that's a must buy. I much prefer the first one to the second one. Hence why that was the one I wanted for the Saturn. The second one is actually a lot dearer. But as you'll see in the footage, oh, it's only basic footage. It's not on the Tarte screen, unfortunately. That wouldn't have fit the YouTube screen very well. But you obviously you can play it on a normal screen. But oh, this is amazing. You've choice of planes. Plays bloody good. Looks great. Oh, it's not overly sort of mega difficult for someone of my limited shooting talent. You know, oh, it's a fantastic game. Strikers 1945. If you can't buy the Saturn one, you know, if you've got a PS2, get that PS2 one. It is a fantastic game. And it's in nice condition as well. So absolutely chuffed to get that. Strikers 1945. And there we go. That's another bunch of stuff I've picked up recently. It is slowing down a bit now, obviously, with it being summer. And also, you know, I've been selling a lot of stuff recently to allow me to buy all this Saturn gear. And I've run out of stuff to sell, really. So, you know, things will slow down quite a bit. But there will be other things. There is some other stuff that have come since I've sort of filmed these. So, you know, fear not, there will be more pickups of an important Saturn nature and other things. But anyway, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and see you on the next one. Sayonara.